If you're fortunate enough to have a traditional pension, you might face an important decision in retirement. You can take the pension as the periodic monthly payments or roll it over to an IRA. So it's one of the most significant financial choices that you might encounter if you have a traditional pension, and understanding your options is critical to making the right decision for your personal situation. So in this video, I'll walk you through both options and the key questions that you should be evaluating before considering whether or not to take the pension or as a lump sum or take those periodic monthly payments. Once you've selected either choice, they're typically irreversible. So if you've decided, hey, I want those monthly payments, it's great. You're going to get those monthly payments for the rest of your life, possibly the life of your spouse as well, if you want. Those monthly payments, they might seem great today, but they don't adjust for inflation typically. Some plans allow for it, but not all, so it's something to check your plan documents for. Once you have been taking those payments, if something happens in your life, you have a sickness or an illness that may reduce your life expectancy, those payments are going to stop when you pass away, or possibly you and your spouse if there's a joint survivorship benefit. Once you and your spouse pass away, there is no more benefit for any other people. So if you have a goal to give money to your kids or grandkids, that is a consideration you'll need to take into account when choosing of whether or not you're interested in taking the monthly payments or a lump sum. Another option is to roll your pension lump sum into an IRA. And there are benefits to doing this, but there are also some major drawbacks which you'll want to consider when thinking about, do I do this or not? As far as the benefits go, you have a lot of control over the investment decision because you have taken control of the asset, so you get to pick what you want to invest in. You can pick any sort of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever you're interested in investing in, you can invest in if you take your pension as a lump sum. You also have the potential opportunity to leave those assets that you have to your heirs as a legacy. There's some additional control benefits that you get when you take your pension as a lump sum. And this could definitely be an opportunity for people who may not need the pension to live. This is an area they may like to consider, is that, hey, if I can take control of this, I can grow it for the next 20 or 30 years. I don't really need the money. It could be a great benefit potentially for your heirs. As far as the considerations go, you assume all the investment risk, whereas in a traditional pension, the pension management team assumes all the investment risk and they make the decisions. When you roll it into an IRA, now that's on you. You have to make those decisions. You have to be smart about where you put your money and how you allocate it. The other consideration is that when you take the lump sum, you also lose that guaranteed income stream for life. So now it's incumbent upon you as the investor and the owner of that asset to be able to make sure that it will be there to last, to meet your needs from now until the time that you pass away. So there's more risk on you, but with that risk also comes the opportunity to be more flexible in how you manage it. So it's whether or not you want to have things be fixed via the monthly payment with the pension manager, or you want to have flexibility and control by moving it to an IRA, traditional pension. First is your life expectancy. How long do you think you might live in retirement? In other words, how good's your health? What's your family history of longevity? How long do I expect to live in retirement? Do I expect to have a shorter life expectancy for whatever reason? Could be illness, could be family history, something like that. Or are you thinking, I've got grandparents and great-grandparents that all live to age 100. I'm pretty healthy right now. I'm going to plan to live longer. That might impact your decision on whether or not it makes sense to take the lump sum or continue to receive those monthly periodic payments. Another consideration would be inflation. So we just came through a period where we saw pretty high inflation over the last couple of years. It's subsiding now. And if you look back over 30 years, I can't put $1 in a vending machine and get a 20-ounce Coke anymore. So you're starting to see the impact of inflation over time. And if you're seeing that and thinking, what is inflation going to look like in the next 15, 20, and 30 years, that could also impact whether or not you decide that, hey, the lump sum might be for me, or whether or not the monthly periodic payments would be for me. So those are really some of the things that we see as being main considerations. And going back to the main difference between the two, the other thing would be, do I want to be responsible for my own investments? So I think those are really the three considerations. You've got, how long do I expect to live in retirement? What do I think inflation looks like? And do I want to be in control of my own money? And after you've answered those questions, it helps to really lead you in the direction of which makes the most sense for you. For people that are thinking maybe the lump sum sounds like a good option for me, one of the things that you really want to keep in the back of your mind is a major pitfall would be making sure that you appropriately roll the money over from the pension plan into an IRA, and that maintains your tax deferred and tax preferential status. One of the things that we've heard of happening where people try to take a rollover into an IRA or something and they end up taking it out as a lump sum into their checking account or something like that, and they end up having a pretty large tax bill come due. So making sure that you follow the right steps to continue to keep that preferential tax treatment on those dollars is really important. So just in a quick summary, we've talked about a lot of things, but just want to remind you that what we talked about early on, the decision is typically irreversible of whether you're going to go the route of monthly periodic payments or the lump sum. So make sure you go through the proper planning, ask yourself the proper questions, work with a professional to get the right guidance for you and your personal situation. If you have questions, you can always feel free to reach out. Otherwise, there is the retirement readiness checklist that we have available to you for free. Subscribe and follow along for more information down the road.